We're super excited to have you. We're going to get started in just 2 minutes. It's funny, the folks who join the first are the ones who have to wait and get penalized. Yeah, but just going to give it 2 more minutes. Welcome, Jeffrey. Welcome, George. I'm loving this group. We're joining from all different time zones over here. Just waiting for someone from Hawaii now. It's the only one we have missing. All right, I am going to kick it off. We're at 11:02. So my name is Sanya Gurnani. I am the co-founder of Radius Agent. Radius Agent is a community, a network of real estate agents all over the United States. We have 70,000 agents that are part of our platform, and it's a way for everyone to connect with each other, learn from each other, and we always host events that you are welcome to join. You can exchange referrals, and you can learn from a lot of top coaches that we have as a part of Radius Academy. We have 2 offerings that I'm super excited to tell you about. One is Radius Assist, which is an ISA concierge team based out of our Denver location. We're going to be hearing more about that today, but it is a lead qualification ISA team that can help you set appointments with your online leads that you're generating. We also have Radius Agent Realty, which is a new modern brokerage, 100% commission, virtual brokerage based out of California and Colorado. And our focus is to help you build your personal brand. So we highlight you and we're the brokerage backing you. So just a little bit about us. As we go on, we're gonna share our social links, our website, just so you can follow us. If you're not already part of our network, it's free to join. So please make sure to do so. And then with that, I wanna kick off this session. As you all saw from the name and what made you join is that it's incredible that a small team of 5 out of Northeast Ohio does 300 transactions in 12 months. In fact, we checked the number right before we got started and it was 376. So it's super exciting. We're so, we're pumped to hear the story and how that all came to be. I'll first introduce Craig Carley. He is our Director of Sales, and he is going to be interviewing Mike Azzam, who I'll be introducing next. So let me just make sure that Craig can turn on his video. Hi, Craig.
Hello, everyone.
Excited to have you. So Craig leads our Broomfield office, our Denver location, and he's the Director of Sales and leads all our Radius Assist efforts. And now I'm going to introduce Mike Azzam. Mike is the leader of the Azzam Group. He's a team lead of the Azzam Group out of Remax New Haven, and he also co-leads the property management division at Remax New Haven. So going to just now bring on Mike.
Hey guys.
Hello, Mike. Excited to have you. So
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course. So I'm going to leave you two to have this amazing discussion, and please, everyone, ask your questions on chat. Anytime something comes up, just send us a question on chat. We're going to have this discussion for the next 25 minutes till 11:30, and then we're going to open it up for 10 minutes for questions. So please feel free to keep chatting in. You can also use the Q&A feature that you'll see in the bottom. All right, let's get started.
Awesome.
All right, Mike. Well, thank you again so much for joining us today. I think everyone's very excited to hear your story. I thought maybe we can kick it off with that. If you would like to dive into a little bit about your story, kind of what got you into the business and just really your journey. I think that would be a good way to start this off.
Yeah, it's I don't know how interesting it is, but definitely a journey to say the least. I've been licensed for about 6 years, but I've been in real estate for about 9, going on 10. Started out as a just kind of a side hustle. I was working for a local property management company, which I'm minority owner, co-owner now. I was in college, nursing school, got a job. I just really gravitated towards some of the aspects to it. I was doing just basic stuff, leasing, miscellaneous tasks for property management, but it was just, I mean, it was a catalyst in, you know, my experience now. A lot of those like small details that, you know, you come to learn over the years. I mean, it really helped, you know, I really honed that in initially, just built a nice solid foundation. Got, you know, continued with it, graduated, and then, you know, needed to see that side of things kind of through. It was almost like closure. So continued to do both. And then, man, I'd leave new nurses, you know, they'd have to work swing shifts, and, you know, I'd have a night shift. I'd work 7P to 7A because I was a new nurse. I'd be completed charting around like 10 a.m. or 10:30. And, you know, I'd leave in my scrubs and go and start showing houses. You know, I did that for about a year and a half. And then, you know, at some point I said, you know, I got to commit to this full time, and just went and got licensed, and yeah, here I am today. It was an interesting early mid-20s. You know, I'd spend, you know, most of my time showing houses on the MLS. Even during lunch breaks, I'd be looking up, you know, available inventory. You know, even just chatting with clients at you know, at the early onset of this. I'd spend my weekends driving around looking at sheriff auction houses. So again, just really helped kind of develop a background in terms of areas, neighborhoods, market trends, and, you know, that way it just really catapulted me once we got started with the sales side of things.
Absolutely. That's some serious hustle, going to school and working in the property management side as well. Tell us a little bit about your team. I mean, 300 transactions, 376 transactions in a year. You know, that is absolutely incredible. Why don't you dive into a little bit about your team and kind of how they help get everyone there?
Yeah. So I'd like to say we're multifaceted. You know, we combination of, you know, investment-oriented realtors and, you know, a couple of retail, so to speak, realtors. But I think what really separates us is, you know, we're able to really handle almost any facet of this industry. I mean, we're closing, you know, single family condo for local homeowners, to investment properties. We just closed a 15-unit apartment building. We have a 20-unit apartment building under contract in escrow right now. You know, portfolio deals. So, you know, we're able to really take advantage and maximize any opportunity, which has led us to this, you know, multitude of sales, which I didn't even realize the number was that high until you mentioned it earlier. We're on cruise control right now. Tunnel vision might be a poor choice of words, but I feel like that's kind of where we're at right now. We're grooving, you know, and, you know, it's materialized into a lot of deals, to say the least.
Absolutely. 376 deals is definitely some great work. So let's talk about that. How did you get to those 300 transactions? What would you say is what led to that type of success?
You know, I know this is going to sound cliche, but just doing it the right way, building a solid reputation from the onset, day one. I you know, wanted to make sure we did it the right way and continue to drive business back in. Look, a couple weeks ago, closed a house in a you know, C-class suburb north of Cleveland. Seems pretty, you know, it doesn't seem very dramatic, very compelling. However, this was with a client that was one of my first clients when I first got licensed. Okay, so this is a, you know, 2,000 deals later, and I'm still working with this guy. You know, 7 years later, I'm still working with this guy. You know, I'm proud of those moments. Those are the situations that lead to growth, because, you know, that's continued to cycle into more business, more referrals from him. And he's, you know, he's a microcosm. I hope he's not listening, but he's a microcosm of, you know, of how we've approached our business in terms of just, you know, doing it the right way, continuing to work our sphere of influence, and which has led to more referrals, more business. Very rare do I get a client that says, you know, after one deal, we're done. Yeah, I think when they see our professionalism, our streamlined approach, you know, it really it makes them comfortable. It allows them to, you know, really kind of settle in and you know, let us do what we're supposed to do, and let us do what we're, you know, what we're experienced with, which is deliver a solid product and, this has led to, again, a multitude of business over the years, which is just, honestly, it's just a snowball effect at this point. That guy from 7 years ago that I was working with initially, it's continued with hundreds of other clients that have continued to work this way. And, it's just led from, initially from a dozen clients to now we have a few hundred. I have a mailer list of, 10 to 15,000 people on it. And I'd say most of them would probably say they've had good experience with myself and my team. And that's something I'm proud of.
Absolutely. Well, let's talk about adding property management to your full service brokerage. What led you to that decision, and really how did you decide to add that?
It kind of fell into it. The founder of the company, Dave Terbeek, he hired me as a leasing agent about 10 years ago almost, and rest is kind of history from there. Just settled in doing property management stuff, leasing. And I mentioned earlier, that was a huge part to this. And I've chatted with agents, and I don't mean to get sidetracked here, but I think it's such an important part to this. And I think this also touches on one of your previous questions. I've talked to many agents over the years from Cleveland area and out of state, and they're just relegated to a specific neighborhood or pocket. Myself starting off in this property management industry, it allowed me to see this entire big picture, the entire county. I familiarized myself with every single pocket in the city of Cleveland and the surrounding suburbs. That gave me a leg up on a lot of competition. Okay, you give me a street and I know exactly where it is, what the values are, what the trends are, what market rents are, what to expect, local municipality requirements. That's invaluable when speaking and dealing with clients, because it's with the way the industry is. And I think I read something last week, we have probably the lowest amount of inventory available in our market's history or something along those lines. We're in a situation where we have to pivot, and we have to be very creative in how we find inventory, and how aggressive we are and how decisive we are. As a client, you can't be decisive if the professional working on the other end isn't knowledgeable and experienced. And that's something that I really pride myself on. It's something we worked on from the beginning. So from the onset, I just kind of settled into this. And over the years, my responsibility, first couple of years, my responsibilities kind of grew. And at a certain point, he sat down and chatted with me, and he pulls out this chart, and just it was very interesting. He's explained to me some of the other facets that I can grow into, and how we can grow the other parts of the company, which is the sales growing into the management, which is growing into the construction, which feeds into the other parts. And I mean, it really did come into fruition. It was 4 of us when I started, and we have a staff of about 30 now. So it's really I settled in and kind of just gravitated towards it, and the management really helped kind of grow the sales, and vice versa. Then the sales grew the management, and it just really worked hand in hand, and it worked well.
Absolutely. So, I mean, in order to do 300 transactions in a year, I know it requires a lot of referrals, a lot of follow-up clients, as well as a lot of lead generation. What is your system for converting online leads?
So we have I have an excellent admin staff, transaction coordinator, Erica, who really is, gets the entire system, gets the entire team, situated in terms of what their roles and responsibilities are. We get, we'll continuously, and I don't mean to jump around again, we'll continuously weekly go over leads, reconcile leads, kind of dispatch leads out elsewhere, see what's a better fit with those leads. When a lead comes in, I mean, I'll initially have a buyer consultation with them, a buyer or seller consultation with them. I'll segue in one of our team agents, and from there we provide them as much resources as we can. We get them situated into our CRM system. One of our admin provides them additional supplemental information that'll be beneficial to what they're looking, what their goals are, whether it's a retail local home buyer, seller, or an investor. And then throughout that, we're providing them other resources and connecting to our other referrals, property management, obviously, attorneys, insurance, whatever it is that's going to help them get to where their end goal is. And then periodic follow-ups, that goes back with the reconciling the lead source, the leads that are coming in weekly. We want to maximize every lead that comes in. It may not be now, it may be a week from now, maybe a month from now, maybe a year from now, but those those touches are very important. And without having, without having that implemented in your CRM system and having those follow-ups with your team, I don't think that's possible. So that's something we really try to, and obviously there's going to be hits and misses along the way, but that's something we really try to make sure that we're honing in on over time.
Right. Absolutely. Follow-up is definitely important in any aspect of the business. How are you leveraging the RadiusSys ISA platform into your guys' business as well?
It's actually been very beneficial. It's interesting. We chatted. I have a bad perception of time, so excuse me. But right when we signed up with ISA, with Radius for the ISA program, I brought up the idea of an in-house sales agent, just to, someone to really get out in front of the leads that come in. It's just really important, get out there and start talking to them. That's why I'm big on my initial buyer or seller consultations, just, really communicating with them, getting an understanding and making them feel comfortable with our team and systems. And then, we're looking through and this, I think I stumbled across an email with one of your sales reps. And honestly, from there, I was a little, I don't want to say hesitant, but we were just curious on how the process would work, how a outside, outside representative would be in terms of communicating with the leads. God, it's been great. Immediate responses, just really organizes the information in a way that we're able to then get to that next touch, when we have the opportunity to do so, whether it's, it could be during a very busy work day or, after hours or weekends. Then we can reconcile what, those leads that come in. And then I can dispatch them out that much easier instead of having to have those calls that may bog me down at times. It gets it out quicker. It's more seamless. So, those, and then we can go back through and see what works and what doesn't work. And what's been great too is they've been able to allow us to kind of curtail some of the communication and how it's communicated with that lead. So specifically, if there's something that I think we need to have them touch on or add in, just to allow us to have a little bit more information on the back end, that's been monumental in terms of just being able to streamline it and task it out quicker and more efficiently and to the more appropriate party. So it's been invaluable. I think it's been very professional and it's helped us scale a little bit.
Awesome, that's great to hear. And then what other technology are you using within your business as well?
We have a CRM system. We use Lead Simple. It's I don't mean to sound cliche, but it really is pretty simple. It allows us to organize all of our sales leads and create tasks and whatnot, and dispatch them out to our team members. Drip campaigns, and it plays well with a lot of our other, our mailer that that we send out, and our property management software as well. We use Propertyware, which is for our property management team. Obviously, continue, kind of holds all of our information, our clients, all of our database, renters and whatnot. And then we have a call system that we use for our leads that are inbound as well to our office, and just the basic things that I think most teams, most brokerages are using. We try to just make sure that, look, we don't want the fanciest car. We just want it to be efficient. Okay, it doesn't need to be. And another broker told me this a couple of years ago. You could buy the most expensive Cadillac, Mercedes, but if it sits in your garage, what's the point of it? We're looking for what makes sense. And over time, if we find something that we can be handled a little bit differently or could be curtailed, kind of like the ISA agent with Radius. That's a huge thing. If there's a way to adjust or curtail that criteria a little bit, then that makes it even work a little bit better. But we're looking for just simple and efficiency, and that's what we've done with the way we approached it with with our lead sources and with the technology that we have in place.
Absolutely. So as a team lead, how do you decide what processes you want to keep in-house and what you would like to outsource?
Some of that just kind of falls in place, I think. So outsourcing, obviously, it's a hot topic. With any professional team, you want to try to, it helps scalability and even from a cost perspective. Some things are difficult just from a standpoint of, you need to almost have boots on the ground. We've from the ISA agent to call center, we've done that a lot with our property management. Billing and invoicing is a huge part to it. Those are some of the things that we've outsourced. We'd like to outsource a little bit more, maybe from more of our construction aspect or construction side of things, or at least maybe even walkthroughs. But I think we've done a pretty good job thus far. Most of our contractors are outsourced. With our property management team, we're outsourcing a lot of our invoicing. But in terms of boots on the ground, those are some of the things that I think it's important to have a team in place that, can get out there, chat with your clients, chat with your leads that are coming in, and, getting out there into the field and viewing properties. And that's a huge part to what we're doing. I mean, we're spending a significant amount of time sourcing deals, and those are especially for our investor clients. So, we need to have boots and able to go out and, analyze these opportunities. So, we want to outsource, but we also want to make sure that we're not losing that touch. And that touch is why we've gotten to 300 plus deals a year.
Absolutely. Which is, again, another incredible task. With doing 300 transactions with your team of 5, how do you guys plan to expand in the future? What's kind of the, maybe the 5-year or 10-year plan? What is that hold?
So we want to grow our sales team, but I am a big proponent of controlled growth. I want to lean and mean is very important to me, because we need to be able to have a team that I and our team can hold each other accountable. I don't think it's as easy to do when you have relatively saturated team with the influx of agents. So I think that's a big part to it. So we want to grow, but we want to do it responsibly. We want to be able to continue to grow sales team, which will inevitably grow our property management team as well, and grow our property management company. We want to get into a part to where we're, getting into the commercial world a little bit. I mentioned earlier, we're 15 unit and a 20 unit that we're in escrow on, closed a few 6, 8, and 10 unit buildings. We'd like to really get a footprint into that commercial world as well. So I think, in terms of, growing the team, that's a huge part to this. Getting to, we're at 1,600 doors for management. We'd like to get around that 25 to 3,000 door number. We want to get into other markets. We're in Cuyahoga County and a couple of the other surrounding counties. We'd like to venture out a little bit there, and I think that'll inevitably help us grow as well. So, I think that'll be a huge part to this. And then also, I'd like to have our team members really our agents take a firm grasp of training themselves, inevitably have our agents have other agents under them, and just really cultivate this, this environment of success and, and growth. And I think, inevitably, if somebody that's helping someone else grow, they're inevitably going to grow themselves. So that's a huge part to this. And that way we're all incentivized. I think that's what's vital in terms of getting us to where we want to be.
Absolutely. And then kind of one of the last questions, and we'll open it up for Q&A as well. You mentioned how you start out, how the hustle included, going to school, finishing a shift, and then getting into real estate. What would your advice be for an agent that is just starting out?
I mentioned controlled growth, but that's I'm a firm believer in that. It's just it sounds funny from a guy that's doing 300 deals a year. But it didn't start that way. It's we obviously want to put our head down and we want to be bull in a china shop, but we need to make sure that we're approaching it responsibly from an aspect that it's not going to be a disservice to our client base. Anytime I feel like we're biting off more than we can chew, I want to be able to throttle it down a little bit, okay? Because I don't want to lose that touch, that service. I want every client to feel like they're getting the absolute best, best situation, best professionalism, best, experience with our team. It's all about that experience. We're trying to streamline these deals and for our clients and give them that, that kind of that seamless transition. If we're in a situation where we're growing too quickly, that's going to inevitably, lose its luster a little bit. So, grow responsibly. Those, it works for some of these larger teams. I think we found our niche at this, small team type of aspect. And look, also I know it sounds cliche, but just do it the right way. Look at every client as long-term. I mentioned earlier the client that I sold a house to in the beginning of my career. These are it's gold. You don't want that guy, you don't want that client, that buyer or seller, you don't want that lead going elsewhere. Okay, you get that lead in, you maximize it, and it might maximize it now, and then you turn around in 7 years and it'll cycle back into another deal. So really approach it from a long-term perspective. Okay, it'll prove invaluable over time, because that circle, that it'll get bigger and bigger, and they'll refer out more and more, and before you know it, you'll start to see it. Just your sphere of influence will inevitably pay for itself. So I think that's a huge part to it, is just really hone in and maximize those lead sources, and approach it from a long-term aspect.
Absolutely.
Awesome. There are so many questions that have come in. Thanks, Mike, for kind of going into these details. Let me start asking some of these questions that I have right here. So I think one thing that came up, Valerie asked this: how are you generating leads? I think we talked a little bit about your conversion system, but what exactly are these lead sources?
We're doing the standard, pay per zip code. I think that most realtors are, I don't say most, but many are doing, the Zillows, the realtor.coms, the homes.com. I actually am having an internal struggle with those, and we've been contemplating over the last few months whether we want to veer away from it. They've panned out somewhat. You really have to be, it's almost a full-time job, really vetting those in itself. I want to get into a situation where we're getting more quality leads, which takes away some of the legwork in terms of vetting the leads that come in. Because where the leads are sourced, I think, is important. I think anybody can attest to that. So aside from the pay per zip code, we're doing a lot of SEO and content marketing. And then real estate platforms like Bigger Pockets, we're on there, we're engaged. Facebook, obviously, God, it's free. Just go on, if you're active on Facebook, active with your community, active with your friends and family, you'd be very surprised at how quickly you can pick up some lead sources that way. So we're really trying to take advantage of any of those aspects. And then, we have a few partnerships with referral-based lead sources where, we pay out a referral fee as well. And it's worked. It's helped a couple of our newer agents really get their feet wet, build some experience, and build a small client base that way as well. And we found that to be opportunistic. So take advantage of any opportunity you can get. You don't need to buy zip codes necessarily. I'm not discouraging you or deterring you from it, but there's less expensive ways to get in there as well.
Right, got it. I think you mentioned social media a little bit, and that question had come up as well. I know you have like 10,000 followers on Instagram. How has organic social media helped you with lead gen?
Just continue to stay engaged. Really trying to be transparent with what you're doing. You don't want to hide it. Show people what you're doing. Show people where you're selling. It's interesting. Beginning of my career, most consumers they'll look at where your office is and go, oh, he must be an East Side agent, or he must be solely over here. Then you need to change that mindset. And the best way to do it is just transparency with what you're doing. Okay. So, hey, just sold single family 10 miles away from where my office is, 50 miles away from where my office is. And, that starts to cycle, and it's a snowball effect. You start to, really get, consumers engaged in what you're doing, and it turns into nice organic lead sources and, word of mouth. Oh, hey, Mike and his team sell in this area, and Mike and his team can help you out here. Over the last year and a half, 2 years, we're getting a lot of that as well. Oh, hey, here, I ask a lead that comes in, how did you hear about us? And it's getting to a point where they go, I don't know. There was a couple people mentioned your name and this and that. And, that's a great thing, because that means we're getting thrown around a little bit more. So it's just getting your brand out there, showing people what you're doing, being transparent with your flow. And, I think that's the best way to get people to understand, the capacity that you can handle and your experience and expertise.
Got it. The next question I have is, what percentage of your clients are investors, and how do you recommend working with them?
It's a great question. I would say we're roughly 60-40 investors. Maybe
Investors?
yes, a little bit weighted towards more investors. I even say 65-35, 70-30. I mean, we're heavy with investors. A lot more in the beginning years, more retail over the last couple of years, trying to pivot a little bit that way as well. I'm sorry, the second part of the question?
Second question is like, what is your recommendation? How do you work best with investors?
I don't know if I have a simple answer for that. Pray a lot. It's just, I think over time you really start to see what works, what doesn't work. I'll leave you with this. Make sure it's a good fit. The investor is always going to wonder and vet you as if it's a good fit for them. Make sure it's a good fit for you. And I've told many new clients that I've talked to over the last couple of years, the same statement. I understand you need to be comfortable. I need to be comfortable as well. So the pace, the situation, the comfortability, the trust, it needs to work both ways. You need to try to build, just like any client, a long-term relationship, and you need to have the investor understand that as well. Investors are sometimes, they'll bounce around and look for the best way to get a good deal. But I think the savvy ones understand that they need to build a long-term relationship with a local agent. That's how they'll get some loyalty and trust and find good opportunities. And I think we need to find a way to make that transparent and known to them. So be picky. There's many investors. So find the ones that you feel like you can work with and work with well. That's going to grow your business, not just theirs.
Got it. Okay. From these over 300 deals, which source has been the best in the last 3 months? So
could you elaborate on that?
I think the question is asking, is it referrals that converted the most, or is it like a specific lead source like Zillow that gave you a majority of these deals?
Good question. Referrals, by far, bar none. It's gotten to a point now where the referrals are better business even because, the comfortability, I mean, it's there at that point. Look, it's just like any review or referral or, somebody that had a good experience and relayed that experience with another consumer. I mean, they're going to be that much more comfortable in terms of working with you. I mean, it's any restaurant. If you go to a restaurant, you want to see who ate there and how their experience was, and how the food was. I mean, it's the same thing in our industry. I think the referral side of things, but we're always continuing to market and try to find new lead sources and, really still continue to vet the new leads that come in. But at a certain point, you really want to work that referral basis and, continue to ask clients for referrals, ask them for reviews. It's something that I say I wasn't as diligent about in the beginning of my career, but now I've been pushing for it. Hey, great. I'm glad the home that I sold you is working out. Glad you had a great experience. It's been a great relationship and it was a great situation. Tell people about it. Here's a link. And my team's done great with that. As soon as a deal closes, they'll send out a couple links for reviews, because we want that to be transparent with other buyers, other sellers. Joe Smith had a great experience and this is why, so that's a huge part to it.
Got it. Any best practices or changes that you've made in marketing during these dark times?
I wouldn't even say it's dark. It's been very busy, which is strange. We just like anybody else, we're trying to stay as safe as possible. I bring extra masks with me to showings. We've branded our mask. We've created the Azzam group masks, which are great. Actually, so, it's just, again, additional marketing, it's the Azzam group. So, we're trying to find, creative ways to still kind of circumvent this obvious issue that's going on, this pandemic that's going on around us. I just talk to clients and get an understanding of what they're comfortable with, what their expectations are. I had a listing appointment a couple weeks ago. They were comfortable without wearing masks and even told me, hey, you don't have to wear a mask. I just felt like it was the right thing to do, continue to stay my distance and stay safe with them, especially since I was in their home. But in terms of marketing, we just continue to try to do what we're doing, and don't change the course. Don't veer away from what the course is. So I'm hoping that answers the question a little bit. I think we're all kind of trying to get through this and figure out what's working and what's not. And every day, I think we can all agree it's different, but just stay the course.
Got it. I know Craig had already asked a little bit about technology and you'd mentioned Lead Simple. I think a follow-up to that we have is, what is the CRM that you're using and how has that helped?
The CRM in-house? It's Lead Simple that we use.
Right.
It organizes the leads very well. It puts them on our drip campaign. It plays well with our other software, with our mailer list. It links up with our phones for text and calls and emails. The way it allows us to create tasks and how I can dispatch those tasks to a specific team member, whether it's admin or agent. It's very transparent. It's organized. Just how you kind of distinguish the lead and what stage they're at. Most lead sources would probably do those things, but I just feel like it's very clean, basic. As I mentioned earlier, doesn't have all the bells and whistles, but it does what we needed to do, and that's all I'm looking for. I think once it hits a certain point, a certain part, sophisticated, in terms of CRM system or any system or software, it may turn off specific people. I think, look, we're busy agents. My team, they're busy. I think they don't want to sit there and have to pull back all the layers and whatever processes that I have in place. I think they want to just get in and get out and make sure that everything's being done efficiently. So I'd highly recommend looking into it. It's been great. We use it for our property management as well. So it's kind of full circle for us.
Yeah, and I think the only thing I'll add to that is if whatever other platforms you're using, they should integrate with your CRM, which is super important. Otherwise, you're just sitting and manually entering in data, right? And like for us, Radius Assist integrates with Lead Simple, Zillow, Realtor, all of these integrate to your CRM as well.
So with Zillow, some of those leads, as I mentioned, they're difficult to ascertain if they're actually legitimate leads. You get Joe Schmo that just clicks on something on Zillow. You're right. Radius plays well with it. It's probably saved me hours of time just from distinguishing what the lead is and what exactly their intention is, and that's a huge part to it. The Zillow call comes in, it goes right to the Radius ISA. That is a time saver. Seriously, it's invaluable. So that's a huge part to it. I agree. I think that needs to be touched on as well. And ISA, I'd highly recommend it as well. If it could, if you're at a certain point where getting to the leads quickly is becoming an issue and problematic, that's something I would consider investing in, is someone that can make that initial touch. We've been successful and we've been very efficient in that second, third, and fourth, continuous, so on and so forth, and touches and engagement. But that initial get in right away, grab that lead, I think it's vital.
Right. So I have a last question, and then we'll wrap up. 11:40 was our cutoff. How does your approach change for higher budget clients versus like a lower budget clients, or do you treat everyone the same?
I guess the political answer would say I treat everybody the same. We do. I've had clients that reach out to me and go, Mike, I'll go from an investor standpoint. Mike, I have, I'm only looking to buy one home. And I've had clients doing 1031 exchanges that bought, 10 or 12 at a time. I didn't approach it any differently. We ran through our same systems. If you have systems in place, it shouldn't change. And we should all have systems in place. So, it's just plug and play at that point. It really is. We have such a streamlined approach that I could try to adjust it. It's not going to matter. It's going to be handled exactly the same way from every aspect of my team. So in terms of just budget and price point, look, that client that seems like they're, on the lower end of the budget, you'd be surprised in a couple of years what will materialize. They'll refer somebody else and be very excited that you took your time and handled them, as efficiently as you handled the buyer that's buying something 4 or 5 times as much. And that'll materialize into more leads and more deals. But if you have systems in place, what they're buying, it shouldn't matter. You know, it's more so about getting them into your funnel and into your systems and making sure that's handled efficiently.
Right. Perfect. Well, this was great. If anyone has any more questions, feel free to let us know. But you know, we can get Mike to answer them later, but we are going to wrap this up right now. In chat, Lily did just send out the Radius Assist demo link as well as our social media links. And Mike's links have also been added. It was wonderful having you all here. Thank you so much. And Mike, thank you so much for your time. Really learned a lot. And I think we're all taking away a little bit extra hustle after this discussion.
Thank you. It was great. Appreciate you guys having me.
Thank you.